Hey guys, this is Alan. I am going to be making some cinnamon rolls. I had someone that left a message on my YouTube channel that wanted to know how to make some good cinnamon rolls. The bread that I make, the dough, you can easily make cinnamon rolls out of that as well. And it makes a great cinnamon roll. The only difference is with the bread you will put in a half a cup of sugar. And the reason why you put a half a cup of sugar in the bread is because it gives the yeast something to eat. With the cinnamon rolls, for them to be a little bit sweeter, is you will add about 3/4 cup of sugar or even just 1 full cup. It depends on you. You can also use Splenda, a sugar substitute, if you want to do that, if you're diabetic. But what you're going to need is you're going to need about 5 to 5.5 cups of flour, 3/4 cups of sugar. You're going to need 2 cups of hot water. You're going to need 1/4 cup of shortening, 1 tablespoon and a half of quick yeast. You're going to need 1 teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half, your choice, of pure vanilla extract. Do not use the imitation. Imitation is just watered down coloring. And then you want to use a teaspoon of salt. You'll need your bowl, of course, a pastry cutter, or a fork. Now what I do is I use the pastry cutter because it works so much better than the fork, but if you don't have a pastry cutter, by all means use the fork. So what we'll do is we'll get everything started and I will show you how to put all this together. Okay, what I was telling you was this is the bread that I make. This is one of the loaves. Each one of the batches that I make will actually make 2 loaves of bread, or it'll actually make 24 pretty large cinnamon rolls. So this is the bread that I make out of this dough. And like I said, you can easily do this with cinnamon rolls, and that's what I'm going to show you to do. So what you want to do first is you want to add 3 cups of flour at the very beginning. So we'll go ahead and get that started. Once you add the 3 cups, you're going to add your 1.5 tablespoons of quick dry yeast. Then you're going to stir that around just to get that incorporated into the flour. And excuse me, I need to get a knife here. Once you get that stirred in, then we're going to add the sugar. And this is 3/4 cups of sugar. We're going to stir that in just to get that incorporated. Doesn't take long. Then we're going to add in our teaspoon of salt. You always want to add the sugar before the salt because sometimes the salt can inhibit the yeast from rising very well. Okay, so once we get that incorporated, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our 1/4 cup of shortening. If you don't have shortening, you can use lard, whatever you choose. I just recommend do not use butter. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend it. Okay, once we have all of that in, what you're going to do is you're going to take your shortening and you're going to cut this into your flour, and you're going to cut it in until it kind of resembles a coarse meal. So it should be little pellets of shortening, which this won't take very long. Okay, once you have that all incorporated, then you're going to add in your hot water. Now make sure you always have a thermometer, and your water should be at between 100 to 115 degrees, no hotter. If you have it under 100 to 115, the yeast may not rise, If it's too hot, over 115 degrees, then you may just kill the yeast and it won't rise either. So it has to be in that happy marrying range. So now we're going to add in our 2 cups of water. And we are going to go ahead and mix this just until it all incorporates to make kind of like a paste. Okay. Once that's in, you're going to add 1 more cup of flour. And you're going to stir that in. Once you get this stirred in and it starts to form, not really a loose dough, but you want it to kind of form to where it's not so goopy. I'm going to add in another cup. Make sure you scrape your sides of your bowl and the bottoms, just to make sure you incorporate that flour in there. Okay, once we get that done, then we're going to take our vanilla and we're going to put that in there. And this is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then just go ahead and just swirl that around until that's well mixed. Okay, and then now once we get that, scrape your dough to one side as much as you can. Okay, once you get it close to the edge, you're going to take a little bit more flour and you are going to flour your surface. And you're going to plop this right on top of the flour. Okay. Now at this point, just go ahead and clean your pastry cutter because you're not going to need it anymore. And we will start our kneading process, which you will want to knead for at least 10 minutes. Okay? So this is where we're at right now. Okay, now that we've got all of the dough outside of the bowl, what you want to do is you want to take some cooking spray or some butter. Don't worry about what's in the bowl. And just spray it or wipe some butter around the sides and the bottom and just let that sit, because you're going to put your dough back in here after you're done kneading it to let it rise. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take it just like you do the bread, and you're going to take it in on the sides, and you're going to make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom of your board. So first we just want to incorporate it a little bit. So now we're going to knead this for 10 minutes. You don't want to do it less than 10 minutes. If you do it less than 10 minutes, your dough could turn out really tough. So you want to try to do it at least the 10 minutes. So you're going to get a little bit of workout, but it's well worth it. So we're going to continue to do this for at least 10 minutes, and then we will show you what it looks like after the 10 minutes have been done on the kneading. Okay, now that you are done kneading your dough for 10 minutes, and you'll know when it's done whenever it doesn't get really sticky, or if you take it, you punch it, and it bounces right back. See how it comes right back? That's when you know your dough is ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the bottom, you're going to take the bottom of it, you're going to twist it and scrunch it. What this does is it keeps it in this form. So now we're going to put it in our bowl. It's already been sprayed, Like I said, don't worry about what's in the bowl. Just go ahead and spray it, or put some butter on the bottom and the sides. Stick it inside. Take your olive oil spray or your butter. Spray the top so it doesn't get a hard crust on it while it's rising. Then you're going to put this on a 350 degree preheated oven. You're going to put it on top, and that will help let it rise a little bit faster. Now this will rise for about 1 hour, and then after that hour, then we're going to take it, we're going to put it on our cutting board, and we're going to roll it out, and we're going to start making some cinnamon rolls. So whenever this gets done rising, we'll come back and we'll start preparing the cinnamon rolls. Okay, now once the dough has risen, which it has risen right here, what you're going to do is you're going to punch the center. I know. And you're going to pull it away from the edges. And then we're just going to plop it out. Okay? Now, once you have it on here, what you're going to do is you're going to stretch it a little bit. Okay? And we're just going to use just a little bit of flour, just a little bit, to keep it from sticking on the on the roller that I have. And I got to get that in just a second. Let me get that. Now make sure that whenever you use a rolling pin, that you always flour it before you use it. And what we're going to do is we are going to make this pretty good sized. And you want to try and make it as much of a rectangle as you possibly can. Now if you notice that your dough is stretching back after you roll it out, let it set for about 5 minutes so the glutens can make themselves the way it was before. And what that does is it helps it from going back from after you're stretching it. So this one is actually really good. And what we're going to do is we are going to start from this end, working our way up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the cutting board, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Now you've seen what the dough looked like before, and this is what it's going to look like after you roll it out. It's going to be about the whole size of this board. Okay? Now when you're using a board like this, make sure you have a wet washcloth. It keeps it from moving. So now once we have this done and rolled out the way we want it, then what we're going to do is we're going to start with our butter, and then we're going to put our brown sugar and cinnamon. You never want to use regular white granulated sugar. Okay? And I'm just going to fix this real fast. And then what we'll do is we will start on putting our filling in. Okay, now I am just about done putting the butter on. And what you're going to use for this size, you're going to use 1 cup of butter, so that would be 2 sticks of butter if you're using the sticks, which I use real butter where it's just cream and milk and that's it. This is unsalted. I don't use the imitation butter or Parquet or Imperial or anything like that because it's nothing but oil. You want real butter. And if you can get the real butter from the Amish or on a farm, or even make your own with heavy cream, that's even better. So now, once we have this all slathered and put on our dough, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cups of brown sugar and 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. And the best way to do this is to take your hands and just mix it. That way you know it's totally incorporated, because sometimes the cinnamon will not mix well. So you want to use your hand, and what that does is it just ensures that all the cinnamon is all mixed in and incorporated with the brown sugar. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take all this and we're just going to dump it right in the center. And as we're doing this, all we're going to do is we're just going to move it around and just lightly spread it around the whole thing. Now you may not think that this is going to be enough, but it will totally be enough. You want to leave a little bit of an edge around this end because that's the part that's going to be tucked at the very end, and we're going to pinch it to where it will stay closed. Okay, we're almost there. Make sure you get all the edges except the very end. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll lift the board and show you what I'm talking about. And just keep moving it, and remember to leave that little bit of a lip with no brown sugar and cinnamon on it. That way we can use that to seal it. Okay. And there, my folks, is your cinnamon and brown sugar totally spread. So now what we'll do is we'll start at this end and we'll start rolling it up to this end, and then we'll go ahead and cut it, and I'll show you what everything looks like. Okay, now that we have got everything spread on here, we're going to start on this side and work our way up. So what you'll do is you'll take your handy dandy scraper here, I call it a scraper, and we're just going to start on this end and we're going to just flip it over. Just flip that bad boy over. Now the reason why I use this scraper is it just helps you get it started. And sometimes it sticks to the bottom of the board. So we're just going to roll it out, and we're just going to roll it into like a jelly roll. Okay? And whenever you're doing this, kind of tighten it as you go. Okay? Just like this. And once you get that started, it'll be very easy to start rolling it. Okay, so we're just going to continue this and go all the way down. Okay, now once you have your roll totally made, which there's my roll. Now it's sticking to the board, but it's fine. It's not totally sticking, it's just on there. So this is what it should look like. Totally round. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take my little cutter here, and my cutter here has a little ruler on here. You want to cut them every 2 inches. So this is where I take my ruler and I start at the end and I just make some little cuts. That way it tells me where I need to cut it and how many pieces I get. Now these I'm actually making into jumbo cinnamon rolls. But if you wanted, you could actually make small 1-inch cinnamon rolls because they will proof again. So now once you have your cuts all through here. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is going to make 12. If you did the 1-inch, you're going to get 24 of them. Okay? If you've never made these before, I would recommend doing the 2 inches because they're going to come out really nice and big. These are almost compared to Cinnabons. Cinnabons are totally awesome, but yet you know, I was getting tired of paying $2.50 for one cinnamon roll, whenever it would cost me about $6 to make all of it. Okay, so now we're going to take our cutter. We're just going to cut it, set it on top. Okay. Cut it. Okay. Just like this. And if you wanted to, you could eyeball it, but it's best if you have them all about the same size. This one's going to be a little bit smaller. So now you have all of your buns cut. So what you're going to do is you're going to take you a pan. Now I use a deep pan. I want to move this up. And what we're going to do is, I've already greased this with some olive oil. I use a lot of olive oil because it's healthier for you. You're just going to spray your pan with some olive oil, the bottom and the sides, or if you wanted to, you could take some melted butter and brush that on there on the bottom and the sides, and that'll work just fine. It's just another way of helping it from not sticking. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start putting these in the pan. And as we're putting these in the pan, I'm going to make sure that they've got about maybe 2 fingers width. So we're looking at about 1 inch apart. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and put these all in here, and we're going to let these proof, and then we're going to stick them in the oven. Okay, guys. The cinnamon rolls have risen, a double rise, so that's what they look like in the pan. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stick this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15-20 minutes. And like I always say, all ovens vary. It depends on if you have a convection oven, a regular oven. So I always tell people if they go in for 15 or 20 minutes, always check it around 10 to 15 minutes just to make sure that they're golden brown and not burnt. So, like I said, ovens vary, so sometimes people's ovens are a little bit hotter than what they actually are on. So always watch it and check it. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15-20 minutes, and then whenever they get done, they're going to be nice golden brown and plump, and we'll be back and show you the rest. Okay, now while the cinnamon rolls are in the oven, I just wanted to show you I had made some buttercream frosting, and what I did was I made one big batch and then I halved it. So I have white frosting in this one, and I have chocolate frosting in this one. The buttercream frosting is very easy to make. What you're going to do is you're going to take a half a stick of butter that is at room temperature, and what you got to do is you got to take your blender or your food processor, whatever you have. Blender would preferably work. And what you want to do is you want to beat that butter, I mean beat it to death, for about 5 minutes until it is nice and fluffy. And if it's real butter, it's yellow. Whenever you get done in the 5 minutes, it'll turn white. So that's when you know it's done. So once you get that butter all creamed up for about the 5 minutes, you're going to take 1 cup of powdered sugar and add a little bit at a time, not all of it, just a little bit at a time. Mix it in, a little bit more, mix it in, a little bit more, mix it in until you put it all in there. And then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and you're going to mix that in. And then you're going to probably mix it for a good 5 more minutes after you get it all creamed and you add the powdered sugar and the vanilla. Now, one thing that you can do is if it seems like it's getting a little bit thick, like real thick, is add about a teaspoon to a half a teaspoon at a time of some milk, because once you put it in there you can't take it out. So always add just a little bit at a time, because even just a small amount too much, it'll ruin it. Okay? Buttercream frosting is very easy as long as you take patience with it, and that is the key. Be patient with it. So like I said, take your butter, half a stick of butter, or a full stick of butter, or half a cup, and you're going to beat that for about 5 minutes until it comes nice and fluffy and creamy. And then you're going to add in your 1 cup of powdered sugar, a little bit at a time. Mix that in. Add your teaspoon of vanilla. Mix that in. And like I said, if it seems like it gets a little bit too thick, add a little bit of milk at a time. If you have an eyedropper, that's even better. So just wanted to show you how to do this. So this is going to go on top of the cinnamon rolls after they cool about 10 minutes. And what they'll do is they'll make a nice little melted buttercream frosting. Buttercream frosting is what you usually find on cupcakes and things like that, but it works perfect on cinnamon rolls. So I just wanted to give you that little tip right there. So always make one big batch and then half it if you want chocolate and vanilla, which I do like. With the chocolate, what I did was I added 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa, and then you're just going to blend that in with the blender, and that's all you got to do. Put it in the refrigerator for about a half hour, take it out about 10 minutes before the cinnamon rolls are ready so it can get back to about room temperature, and then that's whenever you can just put it on after the cinnamon rolls have cooled for about 10 minutes. Okay? Okay, our cinnamon rolls are done, and as you can see, they're really large. These are the chocolates, and we're just going to transfer these. Look at that. These are huge. And we're just going to transfer these on a piece of parchment paper on a cookie sheet. Look at that. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay. Let me move this out of the way, and I'll move this down. I mean, look how nice that is. Let me bring one up to you. Look at that. Huge cinnamon roll. Look at that. So I have 6 chocolate, and then I have 6 of the white. There it is. Very nice. And like I said, we're just going to transfer it. Now see, this is the small one that I had, so it actually turned out pretty good. And I guarantee you that these cinnamon rolls will not last long because they're very good, they're very decadent. It took about 3 hours to make, but they're well worth it. And let me tell you what, all of these cost me about $6. So if these are sold for $2.50 or even more, I just tripled my money, or even more. So these are very good. You might want to try the recipe. Now you can also add nuts on top. You can put raisins in the dough, however you like to do it. So, but there are the cinnamon rolls. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that you guys make these. If you do make these, leave a comment and let me know what you thought of them. So I will talk to you guys later, and you have a great day. And don't forget, enjoy the cinnamon rolls. Bye.